hot cup of coffee. Yeah, friends, what a 4 weeks it's been. Let's see. Maybe I can be better. Let me just zip that up slightly and bring you a bit closer to my mouth. Let's see how that sounds. What's going on with the sound? What's going on with the sound? There we go. Hey there, friends. So here we are, another morning in paradise. The last morning, actually, which is a shame in some ways, ready to go home in other ways, but I think we're going to miss the view the most, and maybe you are as well. So for those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. It's 6:17 a.m. I'm 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat well. I try to eat healthy. I try to eat whole foods. Try to eat a lot of vegetables, lots of greens. Try to make sure that I stay well fed and energized for the day. I try to hit a good amount of protein, 60 to 80 grams on a regular day, which might sound a little on the low side. It's slightly under 1 gram per kilogram of body weight for me, and 80 to 100 grams on days that I actually work out with weights and need the fuel to recover. I also show up for workouts every day. You can more or less follow along here on the stream every day, early in the morning or early in the evening, depending on where you are in the world. And we talk about health, fitness, longevity, and specifically about being consistent and about building routines and habits to help us be fitter and healthier for life. So hey, if you're dropping by and you're watching, hit like, subscribe, ask me a question in chat, say hi, and we can have a conversation. I have a little monitor set up right here so I can see what's going on, all right, what's what. So that's what I'm up to nearly every day. And we're just coming off a 4-week trip, hiking trip in the mountains. You see there, and I've been here every morning. And if you've been following the stream, you've probably seen that it has been hit or miss with the weather. The last 3 days have been absolutely fabulous. The first week was okay. The 2 weeks in between was rain, fog, cold. It was actually cold in the middle of summer, but in a good way. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look back on all of the fun things that I did and how that ties into health and fitness and longevity, and also looking ahead at what's to come for the next 6 months, because now that this part of the year is over, I have to look ahead to what's next and the next trip and all of the months of work in between. Because reality being reality, right, this was a break. Now I need to get back to the real life, the daily grind, the thing that makes up 80% of our existence, probably. And don't think for a moment that I'm not aware and grateful of how privileged I am to be able to take 4 weeks and take a break and take some time to reflect and take some time to work on my health and my fitness and to take some time to work on myself and to really check in with how I'm doing. So there are a couple of things that we're going to talk about this morning, right? If you're interested and so inclined, and that is we're going to talk about my relationship with my mobile phone. We're going to talk about being consistent in our efforts to stay fit and healthy. Specifically, the payoff and also the trade-offs that we might experience. And I'm going to talk about the importance of connection and family and of being together and spending time together and of understanding what time together actually does for us as human beings. Okay? And for anyone who's watching, you go ahead, say hey in chat, say hi, hit like, subscribe, and we can continue this conversation, which I hope we can have and we can continue to have together. But boy, what a 4 weeks it's been. So let's start with the phone, right? Let's start with the phone and let's talk about, first of all, how pervasive and maybe invasive the phone is in our life. I navigated here on the phone, okay? So I think that's key number one, right? To get from A to B, generally, you might buy the ticket on the phone, you might have your travel itinerary on the phone, you might use a navigation app, it might hold all of the information of where you're going. It is a very useful tool. It is a very useful tool because it helps us navigate and make the most of the world. We're very connected. We have information at our fingertips. We can use that technology to do a lot of things more effectively and more efficiently. Nothing wrong with that. But I decided to switch off my smartphone, except for the streams that we're doing here, and I would go into the mountains with only my dumb phone, a new Nokia 3210, so modern version, not as sturdy as the old one, but good enough to be called on and to send messages on. Not very useful for navigation, not very useful for a lot of other things. It immediately killed the need to pull out the phone every 5 minutes because there's literally nothing to do on the phone and there's nobody I want to call on the top of the mountains. There's the occasional text message with my wife if we're hiking separately or if they're up on the playgrounds with the kids. She's up on the playground with the kids and I'm hiking up because that's what I enjoy doing, to check in. But that's about it. So for 7, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, there was no phone whatsoever. What an experience of freedom. I did not regret taking that phone with me on holidays for a second. Let's see. Nita CM, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. Hope you're doing well. I appreciate you saying hi and dropping by, and I hope you're well where you're at in the world. And if you have any questions about my journey on health, fitness, longevity, you go ahead and ask. And we can chat about that for sure. Okay. So I didn't regret taking that phone for a minute of the holiday. Here's the thing though, when I would get home, I would check my WhatsApp, check my messages, and I would start scrolling again. And immediately I would get sucked in to this doom scrolling habit that a lot of us have created for ourselves with the help of smart technology companies. And it just blew my mind. Literally blew my mind. I am off my phone for 8 hours a day. I have no issues. The moment I pick up that thing, all those habits just kick in. It is almost a reflex of picking up the phone. And when that phone is in the vicinity at the end of the day, it is incredibly hard not to reach for it to check what's going on or to distract ourselves. And I think there's a lesson in there about the pervasiveness of the distractions that that phone offers. If we're using that phone to write emails, to connect, to call, to plan things, to book things, to purchase things, okay, I think that is completely utilitarian. I think that's completely fine. If we're spending 2 to 3 hours a day, and by some statistics, some people are spending up to 12 hours a day simply flipping through media sludge, right? Without a purpose, without a goal, just distracting and entertaining themselves. Maybe not even entertaining, just distracting themselves. There is a serious problem. And I know sometimes people say, well, it's just the equivalent of TV. Eh, yes and no. I mean, when I was growing up, I live in Europe, by the way, right? There wasn't that much garbage TV when I was a kid. There were TV programs, produced TV programs. We can debate whether, the quality, quantity, the framing on those TV programs was good or bad, but there was content that was produced that was story-driven, that maybe had some information that people thought was worth sharing. And that's been replaced by a deluge of content that actually is just created to bait you into watching and looking and staring at a screen and then flipping on to the next piece of content and the next piece of content. And I think there's a lesson there about the intention that we need to have in using these tools and the habits that we have formed. And the sad thing about formed habits is that once a habit is formed, it's going to be there. So we need to develop a different habit to override the habit that we want to avoid. I think that's going to be one of the harder things to do in life. One of the harder things to do, given the balance that we need to strike between the utility we get out of the phone. I need to send a couple of birthday cards, order a couple of gifts for people back home while we were traveling. You do all of that from your phone, right? And at the same time, I don't like the person I become who stands there and stares at his phone when my kids want something from me or want to play with me at the end of the day, given that we played throughout the day, but they've already forgotten that by the time it's evening and dinner time, right? So, new habits around the phone and the mobile phone. That's one thing I'm taking out of this holiday and something that I'm taking back home and something that I'm going to work on. I think the contrast for me was tremendously clear between my behavior throughout the day and my behavior in the evening. And having seen that and having come to understand that actually is a bit eye-opening. And I would like to trade all of those minutes that I'm scrolling for distraction, straight out boredom, staring out a window or a train or whatnot, no technology, no input, or utility, learning or doing something useful. So yeah, that's one. So let's talk about consistency, all right? Because there's more to be discussed about consistency. And for anyone who's watching, you go ahead and say hi, hit like, and let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. And we have Aries at 3 saying hi. Thanks, Aries at 3. Hope you're doing all right. I hope you're good and well where you're at in the world. I hope life is treating you well. And I hope that you're off to having a good day, or had a good day and off to having a good night's rest where you're at in the world. You're welcome. So let's talk about consistency, because life and consistency, and specifically health and fitness, are tantamount. I show up with one goal every day, and that is to do 30 minutes of something, whether that's 30-minute walk, 30 minutes kettlebell, 30 minutes mobility, 30 minutes of running. But every day to have at least 30 minutes of exercise, and a sub-goal of that is to spend at least 2 hours out of the day, 2 hours out of 24, moving and being active. So that would mean a walk that includes my walk to the train station, from the train station to the office and back. Those are taken together, maybe 20 minutes of movement already. That is taking a meeting while walking, spending time one-on-one with a colleague while walking, taking the stairs at the office, but using my body, being physically active and in motion rather than sitting still. I might slide into the gym and do, 3 pull-ups, and then 5 squats, and then 5 push-ups, just for the sake of moving in that hour. And that's like 2 or 3 minutes of activity right there, right? Just doing those little bursts of activity throughout the day consistently. Well, thanks, Aries. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. But I wasn't always like that. In fact, that level of consistency is probably something that I've started working on over the last 6 months. Before that, I was very much focused on just developing the habit and the mindset of being engaged with my own health and fitness every day. And that took like a year and a half, right? I started in April, a bit over 2 years ago. Then in December we went on holidays. I decided I was going to live stream my morning routine every day. I was still doing body weight and free weights, and going to the gym. I started doing kettlebell at that time. We did that for a year. I decided to do another year. And here we are in that second year. And, I did my education to kettlebell trainer. I did my education to personal trainer and lifestyle coach, healthy lifestyle coaching. And now there is this habit, this consistency, this rhythm that actually keeps me fit and healthy. I hike up a mountain 10 kilometers, then we go on a family hike 3 to 4 to 5 kilometers, and we sit and play, and I still have energy at the end of the day. I'm tired, but I'm not worn out. The hikes themselves are taxing but not stressful. I am physically capable and fit of doing all of those things, I'd say almost with ease. And the reason for that is that I have invested in my sleep, in my food, in my movement for such a long time. My body is capable of doing all of those things and doing them well. I am physically able because I've been consistent for 2.5 years at this point, right? There are simple keys to consistency that we sometimes overlook and forget. And I think the keys to consistency that we overlook and forget are ones that, we need to take a step back and remind ourselves of. And the first thing about being consistent is that we need to understand our responsibilities, the commitments, and the demands that are being made on our lives. Simple. All too often, we realize we want to make a change, we realize we want to get in shape, fit, and healthy, and for 2 or 3 weeks, we relentlessly focus on it, we deprioritize everything else that actually needs to get done as well, and then we go, 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 and we burn ourselves out. And then for another year, we don't get back around to it. That's not the way this works. The way this works is we need to look at where in our lives are there spaces for us to focus on our health and fitness, and we can use those spaces effectively and efficiently to do things that are going to improve our health. And these don't need to be, marathon running sessions, okay? You can do a lot in 6 times 3 minutes a day, or 10 times 3 minutes a day. So when I take the stairs at the office 2-3 times a day, that is 10 minutes of activity that adds up to my total for the day. And that is just as impactful as spending 10 minutes on the treadmill continuously. Maybe even more so because I'm climbing stairs for that time, okay? So understanding responsibilities, commitments, and demands that exist in our lives. Second thing about being consistent, key to consistency, is to find things that we enjoy. If you don't enjoy running, don't go running. If you don't enjoy weightlifting, don't lift weights. If you don't enjoy eating greens, find red vegetables. Okay? The point is that we need to find a bedtime routine that we like. We need to find food recipes that we enjoy and like. We need to find types of movement and exercise and play that we like. And those are the things that we want to build into the rhythm of the week. And for me, right now, people sometimes wonder, well, why do you wake up at 5 to do your workouts and live stream them? Right? Because it's 5 a.m., it's now 6:38 a.m. I did my workout, and now we're talking because I'll be traveling, and this is the last chance we have to talk with this beautiful view. It's because it fits my schedule. Because after 7 a.m., when the kids wake up, my day is all about the kids and work. In the evening, when I get home, I am tired. I am not a night owl. I am an early bird. So for me, this is a great time to have 2 hours to myself. And it fits into the demands, commitments, and responsibilities I have throughout the day. Okay? I enjoy kettlebell training. I enjoy mobility training. I enjoy running. I enjoy judo. So those are the things that I have built into my schedule and into my rhythm for life and for living. Okay? The third key to consistency is to think about the things we do for health and fitness, specifically movement, but also sleep, and also healthy eating, like brushing our teeth. It is just something that we do every day. I hope you're brushing your teeth every day, okay? It is just something that we bring to the table every day as a habit. It is something that is a part of the daily routine and the way I do things. And there's a trade-off there, because the trade-off is, going back to point one about phones, that I have less time to scroll. The trade-off there is that I am not engaging in certain activities, or not eating certain foods, or not up to speed on the latest shows that are streaming, because I'm making a choice to invest my time in different activities. Okay? So it's 3 keys to consistency. And I think those are important keys to be aware of. Green veggies, oh, that's cool. I think growing vegetables ourselves is a very satisfying um, experience, one. And two, gardening and spending time gardening and tending to a garden is a form of physical activity. So you're getting 2 for 1, you're getting healthy foods, and you're getting some extra exercise in throughout the week. So I think that's great. And for all of you who are watching, thanks for dropping by. My name is Toby, 41 years old, and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, adventurous life. This is all about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for a living at 41, 51, 61, 71, 81. So if that's something you're interested in, you go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and we can continue the conversation. Matt and Mouse, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. How's life over at the cabin? I think this might be a place that you could appreciate also here in Austria. If you've never been, you've probably been. But it is a great outdoor area. How are the kettlebells doing, by the way? I hope they're treating you well, and I hope you're treating them well. And I hope that the addition of a little bit of training is serving your purpose. So let's talk about family, because I just got to spend 4 weeks uninterrupted, 4 weeks one-on-one time with my wife and 2 children, and we're still happy and in love and glad to be a family unit. But boy, is that a different experience from the weekly routine, right? It set some things in perspective for me. I was doing the math one morning when I woke up. I was like, well, usually we have like maybe an hour in the morning when everyone wakes up. We have maybe 2 to 3 hours in the evening throughout the week. And then Saturday mornings there's sports and activities, so we have Saturday afternoon, and then the whole Sunday is the day that we spend together. And a lot of the other times, my children are out with people, good people, teachers, care centers, where they engage with other kids, where they learn to stick up for themselves, where they're being socialized, right, by the environment. And you see the effect of that when you start to spend 4 weeks with them. You see what they've learned, what they've grown, what they find acceptable and normal. And also there's some time to steer that. But it reminded me of how precious little time we have day to day to actually help, guide, steer, educate, raise our children in the modern world, especially when there's 2 people, mother and a father, both working full-time. So it's a real gift to have been able to spend, 28, 29 times, 24 hours, one-on-one, walking through the mountains, hiking, talking, playing, having fun, being together in this way. It's been great. And I think it is something worth pursuing and doing more of. I don't think it would need to be something that we do year-round. I think there are benefits for children to be in spaces where they engage with other kids, where they learn social norms, where they learn themselves, where they learn how to deal with bad behavior of other kids, setbacks, what's going on with the social interactions that they're learning. But I do think there's also a lot of space missing in the way we've designed modern life to actually raise, bring up, and guide our children along the path to being healthy, well-functioning, um, contributing, useful participants in society, and to actually being a close family unit. So, time well spent, I think, a good reminder of how important family is, a good reminder of how much of these things we take for granted without that actually, maybe without us being aware of it. I think a lot of people might find 4 weeks with their children a bit daunting. And I have to say, put away the phone and engage in fun and play, because that's what they like to do. And you might be surprised. And these times don't last, right? Because give 4 more years, and they start to turn into teenagers, and they might not want to play as much with mom and dad anymore. They start to have different interests. And then give it another 5 years, and you have to go through hell probably. And then give it another 5 years, and hopefully they're adults, and they're respectful, and they're doing well in life. And time is flying. These 4 weeks flew by. But man, it was a great experience. It's also a reminder of how much time and effort actually goes into talking, educating, how testing of your own patience that experience can be. And also a mirror of your expectations, but also of your behavior. Like kids pick up everything, right? Especially after a certain age, when they start to talk and think for themselves. And sometimes in the evening, after I'm done with story time, their mother does story times. And I always go over to the mom and say, hey, honey, your services are required. Well, guess what? Now the boys picked up on that, and they're like, Mom, your services are required. And it's funny. But it also shows that they will do what you do. And if you're not there to role model, they will role model other people. And then you have to ask yourself, who are they going to role model? Where are they finding these role models? And I think the internet is littered with poor role models and with good role models, and with a lot of stuff in between. I think the world needs more, especially for men, but I think for both men and women, boys and girls, people who embody good citizenship, good adulthood, good values, the definition of utility, the definition of participation, role modeling those things, role modeling learning, growth, role modeling kindness. Those are all things I think that we can do a better job at showing our children what a good way forward is. Role modeling, collaboration, unity, for, a world that they are going to inherit and inhabit. I think we have a lot of work to do there. And I think this was a good step on that way. But I'm also aware that it's not available for everyone, right? But once we have kids, we need to step up and do the best we can and try to make sure that we are setting good examples for them and also investing time and energy in them. And again, it comes back to that phone. If we are spending 2 to 3 to 4 hours scrolling on our phone, again, not doing useful things like booking holidays or trips or finding good schools or putting educational content in front of them, but if we are distracting ourselves from the responsibilities we have, then, there's something wrong with the central position that piece of technology takes in our life versus the time and effort we need to spend with our friends and family. Building connections, relating, socializing, learning how to speak, to communicate our wants, needs, dreams, and then building that into behaviors and habits that are going to serve us through life and serve our children through life. So, I guess those are all the things that I wanted to talk about today. Math, that's great. Oh, that's nice. I must ask, Aries, sleep well. What age are my children? I don't share too many details on the family life, but they're young children. I think it's time with them was valuable. I regret yeah, I know that feeling. That's one of the things that's top of mind for me as well. At the same time, if the relationship is good and they are loved and cared for, I guess there is not. They also understand, that there's a balance between work and living life, and they need to learn that as well. And I think with your cabin and the life you have now, maybe you are seeing a lot of the fruits of all of the hard work. Pingo de Oro, these are the Austrian Alps, and thanks for dropping by and saying hi. And that's all I have for you this morning, friends. Last day here in paradise. Look, there is the full sunlight of dawn. I hope you're doing well. I hope you will have a good day. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for spending these 4 weeks with me in the mountains. And starting Sunday, we'll be back in my kitchen, back at home, moving on to the next stages of this journey of health and fitness in our 40s. Remember, you're good just the way you are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. This person we are today is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. Matt Mouse, take care as well. Be well. There are enough people out there who want to put us down, so we always lift ourselves up. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I'll see you, not tomorrow because I have an early start. Definitely won't have time to stream, but Sunday morning, back home again. Take care, friends. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.